Hello, everybody. Welcome to the regular engineering committee meeting. It's 4:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item one is roll call. Both directors are here. Approval of agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment. Is there anybody online, or would you like to make a comment at this time?
We do have two people online as well as one in person. Peter Barnes, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Gina Mills, do you have any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Kirkman? Okay.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Jim Kerfman, United States Army, retired, of course. The reason I come here today is I wanted to ask a few questions about how the water is getting to our aquifers. I know last week I talked about it and I was assured that we, the city, bought that dairy down the road, Smith, because their water supposedly was clearer than ours because of the chromium-6. So what the plan was years ago was you were going to spike our aquifers with that water to clear up more than it was. Okay, so my question was, that nobody can answer, was, okay, if you bought that land and you bought the water rights, and you are spiking our aquifer water with that water, where's the line at?
Where is the what?
The line, the pipeline.
Oh.
I know it's not underground, and I know it's not overground. So what are you doing, trucking it in?
Okay, so, I think we talked about this a little bit. We purchased, I don't know how many acre feet, a couple thousand acre feet of water rights. And the part of it was the chromium-6, but part of it was just the water rights, because we knew that the Water Master and the Mojave Water Agency and the court were going to start ramping us down in the future. So what the ramp down means is we're given a certain amount of native water rights, but if the Water Master finds that it's in overdraft, we get those amounts that we can pump without paying for replacement water is reduced. So 10 years ago, we were at 80% of our free production allowance rights. And it's 50%, I think it's 50% currently, correct? So we can only pump, or the district can only pump 50% of the free production allowance that we have in acre feet per year without paying a replacement water cost to the Water Master, to Mojave Water Agency. So one of the most important parts of buying the dairy was, one, to remove a large water user. The dairy used a lot of water from the basin. And number two, to get their rights, in which also we tested the wells. We knew that chromium-6 was lower down there. Then the chromium-6 issue was extended to, it was pretty hot and going, and they put it at 10 parts per billion in 2015, I think. 16, somewhere in there, but then there was a lawsuit, and it was extended, and now it's going to be, I think, 2028
So the MCL for districts actually takes effect October 1st of this year.
of this year.
This year, districts our size will have till October 1st, 2027 to meet compliance for 10 part per billion for hexachrome.
Can we do that now?
So we have been, the board has given me the direction. We've been profiling. So we're gonna liken a straw into the ground. And this is perfect because we got some colors in there. So let's look at those colors. Blue, in particular on this pen, has chromium-free strata. And the clear has some chromium. And it's not quite this precise, and I wish it was this clean. So we go in and we send this special tool down while we're running a pump. And it tells us how much water is coming in and where in this straw that water is coming into. Then we send down another tool after we send down the spinner tool, and it tells us how much is coming in. We select intervals where to send this sampling tool. It's like a fancy vacuum. All it is a bottle we send down with a vacuum on it. It opens at these intervals that we select. It takes a sample. So now we know how much water and at what chromium concentration is coming into this straw. We can lay that into a theoretical blending schematic, manipulate our pump settings, and we can determine the amount of water that is in that straw that's coming out of the straw by math, and counting for the annular spacing, and predict within 1 part per billion accuracy the water we're going to extract. So if it's too high, some of the wells, let's say this blue part was chromium that we didn't want. It's like a fancy balloon, a real expensive fancy balloon. We send down there, right at the tip of the blue, inflate it. Now we don't pull water from this blue section that has chromium. And that saved the district over $11 million so far, and we call this well profiling. Other districts do it, and there's a little bit of different methodology. Some folks use some dyes. We've elected to go spinner sampling and discrete spinner logging and discrete sampling, and that has worked for our district. So we had 8 wells in exceedance of 10 part per billion. Today there's 2. Our capital improvement plan has laid out when we will profile the last 2 in conjunction with and during while we drill another well. Because sometimes these areas of blue might be where there's better producing strata. So we might get a little more water, but we can't take that water. So when we fill up that balloon, we gotta pump that well a little less. Well, we can't keep always giving up production, so we gotta go find a new one. If we look back February of this year, our new well came online. About 800 gallons of some of our highest quality, and it's our largest producing. That was part of the chromium surcharge that you referenced last week. In our chromium projects, there's also some source capacity, so storage. We've got to keep that water somewhere, and drill another well, because again, we had 8 or so that we've had to do this where we give up some of these areas. Well, we have to make up for that, so we keep everybody in water, so we'll go drill another well. That way we meet the demands of the community while reducing our costs by over 50%. And I actually pulled up our last chromium memorandum that went to the board. And if you look at our minutes online, May 24th, 2023, you can see all the projects, the costs associated, the actual costs, the dates that was approved by our board of directors, and the estimate remaining. So to date, give or take, we spent $6 million, get rid of chromium. Outstanding as of May 23rd last year, $5.9 million outstanding. And some of these would have been completed, but again, I didn't know we were going to be into this one. And that was, if you want to see it, that would have been May 24th, 2023. And it was July 1st, 2014, that back then it was called California Department of Public Health. Today that's same thing, same governing body. It's California State Water Resource Control Board. They just changed names a little bit. They moved that MCL, that maximum level for chromium, from 50 to 10. They got sued. So in 2017,
Well, wait a minute. So who's making these rules up? Suddenly it's
State Water Resource
10
Control
parts per
Board.
billion and now it's 5 parts
It's
per
the
billion, now
state
they want
government.
2?
It's the state government.
State government. They mandate.
Okay,
we
so
do.
what did the state do for us, our city?
Cost us money?
That's a.
They cost us money.
Yes.
They don't give us anything.
Comment.
No.
So why are we obeying them?
Because if we didn't, they would
What?
take over the district.
We are sworn to do
How can they
so.
do that?
They can, what do you mean how they can do it? Eminent domain, they'll just take it. They could just take it.
If we were to refuse to comply, this district would go into what's called conservatorship. The state themselves will step in and run it.
That's right.
And if they will do everything
So
they have to.
what are you guys' job anyways? Aren't you supposed to be working for us?
Well, we are. The original project in 2015, we estimated we got the dairy and to hook the dairy wells up to the system was going to cost $17 to $21 million plus other things. That was the estimate. We had an engineer study and an estimate. We had some preliminary pipeline diagrams and all that stuff, reworked the wells down there. Then the chromium-6 regulation was delayed, so that gave us time to look at other ways. And the district developed a profiling system, and we were able to cut the chromium below the 10 parts per billion that we assumed it was going to be regulated at. And that only cost us $6-7 million instead of 17 million. So that's what we did. We tried to save everybody quite a bit of money.
Let me tell you this. I was in the gas and oil business for a long time. Each one of my customers, my A customers, gave me $1 million and a half a year in repairs, parts, labor, the whole 9 yards. If they did not spend $1 million a year, they didn't get $1 million next year. Their budget was less by whatever they saved. Is that what you're telling me now? You didn't get the 10, you reduced it down to 6, so now they're holding you at 6?
I'm confused at your question. The original cost to mitigate the chromium-6 regulations was
17,
estimated at
21.
about 17 million.
Yeah,
We
17, 21, yeah.
we found a different method. You asked what the district does. Well, we found a different method that cost less than half of that, or about half of it. And so we've implemented those processes, and therefore,
You saved
from my standpoint, we've saved the people of the district
several million
about
dollars.
$8 million.
Roughly half.
Yeah,
Okay.
about $8 million. And that's just the chromium-6. There are other issues, of course.
We'd also like to point out that there is a sunset date, or when that surcharge is set to go away. And that date that's from when this was approved, there was a 7-year obligation. There's a sunset date in 2031, that
Oh.
surcharge should fall off your bill.
I thought you said 2029.
I apologize, 2031.
Jesus, I'm still alive in 31.
I may not be.
Just the chromium-6.
That's just the chromium-6 issue. We're very thankful that what they call PFOS and PFOAs, I think you've heard of that. That was the stuff in metal pans that caused the slickness, the non-stick stuff in pans. Well, that's
Teflon?
things like that. Anyways, it's a pollutant that they're not doing it in parts per billion, they're doing it in parts per trillion, and it's going to cost a lot of money for people that have it.
Well, who comes up with this? The state?
The state and the EPA,
Well,
the federal
How would
government,
they even come up with that stuff?
they,
What, some scientist decides that, ooh, there's 10 parts per trillion is this, and this,
Well,
we
in
can
the- in-
prove is bad.
that was an issue with the original chromium
6.
issues. Okay, you know what happened in Barstow, right? They made a movie about it.
Yeah,
and-
but
And all that stuff,
I was there
okay.
when that happened, and
All
that
right.
was.
So one of the big fights during that time was PG&E said that there is a natural background for chromium in the water. It does occur naturally. And the big argument was what that was. What is the background? And it took them years to decide. And so they came up with 10 parts per billion eventually, and they said anything over that is not natural and is dangerous for human consumption. And that's where we're at. So,
That's a hard sell. That is a hard sell. When I first went to work in the gas and oil business, my company was Cooper Industries. We manufactured large industrial engines and compressors for the gas and oil business. All right, about 5 years into that job, Cooper went and bought Enterprise Engine. Well, Enterprise Engine was stationed in San Leandro. So all of us salesmen had to go to San Leandro and hear this big speech about Enterprise engines. Well, how they were the greatest and the best and all that stuff. Well, we produced Cooper Bessemer engines. So it was kind of a comp. But we bought them up, so okay, we added you to the family. All right. There was a guy from the water treatment plant there. He got up and gave us a little 20-minute speech. And he said that they have the power to clean poop water, water treatment plant water, into 99% pure drinking water. Because they produce it, run it through the sand and all this stuff. A long time ago, I can't remember all the details, but they could do that. So I'm kind of a new guy to the company, and I go, there was probably 100 people there. So I raised my hand, I got a question. They said, yeah. I said, well, look, I said, if you can produce 99% pure drinking water out of toilet water, why don't you bottle it and sell it? Half the room started to snicker and the other half didn't. And the guy on the stage said, well, I'll tell you what, he says, if you could convince the public that that's what we're doing and you did that, you'd be the greatest salesman that ever lived. I think what you're saying now, it's hard to sell. It
Well,
just is. And I think
it's
that
facts, and I'm
California's-
sorry for that. Do you have any other questions or stuff? Because we have an agenda to follow here, so. No? I appreciate your time and interest. If you want to get more information, Sean or George could certainly give it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, nobody online had a comment. All right, so let us move to item 3, approval of minutes. Is there any changes to the minutes?
No,
Do you
there
have any
wasn't.
changes to the minutes? Not a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
I motion to approve.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Now we'll move to item 4, which is the Oeste Recharge Study Project. Is there any update on that?
No, there isn't. Typically, we get an update at the Technical Advisory Committee meeting with Mojave Water Agency. The last report was that they are completing their design, I think, by September. So we're looking at next month that the design would be complete. The district would get a copy of that, just to get a feel of what this project's going to look like for the district. So until they announce this at TAC, we don't have an estimate when that'll be complete. But from the original scope of work, it was in September.
And just for your public information, the Mojave Water Agency is going to start recharging the local basin here, and that's what that's about. They're going to start dumping canal water into the basin. Okay, nothing else on that. Do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Item 5, yes.
You're talking about the canal, the aqueduct.
Yes.
You're saying that Mojave Water is gonna start dumping water from that canal into our wells?
Not the wells, into the basin, in the land. Yes.
Not just letting it flow out into the ground, they're gonna pipe it in somewhere.
They're going to put it into artificially, they're going to dig some basins and let the water percolate in.
Is that kind of a, how
It recharges
perfect
the,
is that? I mean, I know down the hill they have those, right there by the bush.
right off the freeway, you
Yeah.
can see them down there.
Yeah.
Same thing,
But
they're going to
is
do it here.
How much are you losing in
In this climate, probably 6 acre-feet, or 6 feet per year evaporation, maybe
So
5.
they're giving it to us, or do we have to pay for it?
They're recharging it. If we need to purchase water in the future from them, that's what we would purchase. But it'll also help our wells right now, so.
So that water we're not gonna have to pay for?
Only if we exceed our free production allowance. Okay. Okay, item 5, discussion of the water system.
All right. So we are coming up into the second round of UCMR 5. So after next month, the district will be done, completely done with the EPA mandated UCMR sampling sets. If we look at our total monthly production, we're kind of right on par with last year, 1% less. About 300, just shy of 360 acre foot. We did sell 6 meters last month, 38 so far year to date in the calendar. Just kind of reference 56 last year, 86 the year prior. The guys have been really working amazingly. They've done 23 service line replacements this last month. And that really segues into the 138 for the calendar year to date. And then the year just restarted, so the 23 for the fiscal year to date. These guys are doing such an awesome job. Again, I can't thank them enough for their hard work. And Chris has really been, Mike, and the crew's just really, really diligent. We're able to tackle leaks a little bit different than we ever have. Historically, it's been triage, so we would repair leaks as they came in, but what we're able to do now, because our wells, boosters, and the crew's efforts, as the leaks are coming in, our on-call personnel is marking those out and calling in dig tickets as the leaks are coming in, and those are being replaced. And it's not, we're not doing quite every single one, because some days we get 7, 8 leaks, but we're really just replacing those as the leaks are coming in. So it's better optics for the district. The public sees these things leak, they're being replaced all new. So instead of triaging off spreadsheets like we have been for years, we're finally able to kind of almost do these in real time. There might be a few that we can't quite get to just because the quantity and our limited human resources, but that's the approach we're taking, and it's working out phenomenally well. I don't think there's any downside to this.
Well, when we first started this project, we said, well, obviously there are certain areas where there's a lot of leaks, so we said we'll plot those out on a graph and see where the worst offenders are, and now we're beginning to we've eliminated, I think, most of those, or a lot of them, and now we're just hitting whatever leaks, just replace it, and that's a good way to do it.
And it's finally paying dividends for us.
Yeah.
If we look at our well 14 production, again, we're kind of touching on, our costs of producing water. Well 14, it takes that's the one in our LA County border. Actually sits in Antelope Valley adjudication. That's $1,190 per acre foot, and it's, again, our staff's efforts. We've kept that to 0.08 acre foot pump this year, so less than 1/10 of an acre foot. That's just for sampling. Total non-revenue water loss. So years prior, we've 14.5 to 14.9, and it's kind of been really stayed within that boundary since the comprehensive meter change-out, so where the district's now the advanced metering infrastructure, AMI, since February. We're seeing that right at 10%. So again, every month I cautiously celebrate. We are getting to the point we're almost having enough data, and in 2 months I'll feel absolutely comfortable with 6 months, 100% census data behind me to back that statement. But 10% is the actual water loss for a calendar year to date. So from January 1st to today, we've reduced that by 4.5 to 4.9%, which is somewhere in the network of 320 acre foot, give or take. You're talking a substantial savings to the district in 2 months.
Well, that's like a 30% reduction.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to bring that to the board as part of a presentation. And the only reason I've been reluctant is yes, in January and February, there was 400, 450 meters changed out between the 2 months, so I can't utmost certainty say is because, well, once we hit September, October, the end of October, it will be 6 months, 100% census analytic data coming in to support that number. But again, I wanted to bring that forward. We do have a presentation prepared, but that's the reason it hasn't been to the full board. Every month it comes in, I celebrate in my office because that's really, that's the number we're chasing, right? 10% is that gold standard in the industry that if you're around 10%, you're doing pretty darn good.
Are you suggesting that the 4% drop is mostly due to the better meter
I am.
readings?
I am.
Yeah.
That is what the data's, I'm not saying that, that's the data sets in front of me. The numbers aren't
Well,
lying.
you as the analyst saying, yes, it's, the data points to the fact that that a lot of the water loss that we were occurring, that we couldn't figure out where it was going, was just meters.
Correct. And also, we have been able to, because of the AMI structuring, move the read dates to the well read dates. So as we're an AMR system, you need time for everybody to drive by, get the reads, bring that data back, analyze it, figure out which ones didn't read, bring it back. We don't have that lag anymore. So we're able to, from the office, read. We keep on, we're having a 100% success read rate. So we've tightened that up to the well reads, to the meter reads, to give us the truest number possible for this. And that, come October, we'll bring that to the full board, and maybe we can celebrate with some apple cider because we've been able to get that down 4.5%, which is pretty amazing.
Well, when we first started with the district, it took 2 people 2 months to read all the meters, driving all day long.
And now we don't. That's
Now you
a-
don't have anybody out there doing it.
Customer service is turned from a 2-man full-time job, I'm sorry, 2-person full-time job all month to when our one customer service rep has free time, he's flushing her back. So we've been able to save that as well. This well 15 has really helped us operationally. It's been about the smoothest summer since I've ever worked here. So we haven't had a booster or well fail yet, knock on wood. We're getting into our tank washout season come October, November. We'll be into that. We cover water quality with our UCMR. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions, comments?
No?
I'm good. All right. Any questions from the public about the water system? Item 6, Smithson Springs update.
I'm sorry, no questions. That's just really impressive. That 4%, that's unheard of. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Smithson Springs.
Nothing really new to update. We're hoping we had a CAL FIRE crew out today. We're supposed to have them tomorrow and the following week, pending any fires. As soon as we can get the vegetation mitigated at all of our well sites, tank sites, we'll get them up into there, get the vegetation up there taken care of.
Okay. The road's been repaired,
The
I
road
think you
has been
said, yeah, okay. Anything else? Go to item 7, state regulations update.
There's a few.
Oh, jeez.
So the update to the lead and copper rule revision, we had to inventory the service lines. That's been submitted to State Water Resource Control Board. No further action is required by the district. Again, UCMR is next month. The EPA has mandated that the CCR that's the Consumer Confidence Report, be distributed twice a year instead of the once a year. We talked about that last meeting.
Yeah.
That's why we're shifting over from printing 7,500 copies a year. It's going to be distributed electronically as it was in July. We have several hundred copies in the office for anybody that would like a hard copy of that Consumer Confidence Report. And also today, the cross connection control Policy Handbook has been finalized and distributed. By July 1st next year, we have to implement a cross-connection policy plan, which is almost no different than what's done today, other than having a formal plan. We were hoping we could incorporate that into the emergency response plan, and after today's state guidance, the sanitary engineer that's in charge of that is still in the cross-connection training herself. Could not answer if that was an acceptable solution to incorporate that into our emergency response plan. I don't think they're going to allow that. The plan has to be compiled, sent to our sanitary engineer for approval. It really doesn't change all the operating practices and procedures that we have in place. Were pretty much finalized and put into writing in this policy handbook. Even the district's approach, and there's been a whole litany across the state of how they approached single-family residence fire sprinklers. And that was the hot topic yet again today. What was published in the policy handbook is exactly what the district's been doing for the last 10 years. There will be no change for us. I know some of our neighboring entities have taken their approaches and they're going to have to modify their approach to comply. So we're kind of in a real ideal spot. We'll work on getting that plan compiled. And unfortunately, Title 17 is going away, so that is going to require bringing the rules and regs back to the board, because our rules and regs do specifically call out Title 17, and now they're going to have to reference, so there's going to be some verbiage changes. So you'll be seeing that coming to the board here in the next couple of months, just procedural changes. And that's all I got for state regulation updates.
That's enough.
I guess it's been a busy month.
Yeah. All right. There's nothing else on that. Item 8 is a review of current projects.
For future well number 18, we're in the process of inquiring about some potential properties that might be viable candidates for the locating of that. And also getting the hydraulic models input on some thought processes to where we could locate that to eliminate a bottleneck at a booster station. So utilizing that transmission pipeline that we put in last year, and or the distribution system to reroute around Station 2. Well number 17, we're still waiting on our PLC from Tesco. Other than that, it sits at the ready. And then tank 6A, George, could you help me on that one?
Absolutely. The CEQA will be brought to the board at the next meeting for public notice and adoption. We are moving forward with NEPA. We did get the environmental compliance guidance for the HUD grant funding for the project. So now that we have kind of direction, instructions, we're moving forward with the NEPA. We're so far ahead of the game compared to what we were with the EOC and the FEMA funding from this past year. So that NEPA, we're kind of jumping ahead, but it's going to be pretty much ready when we're ready to roll with this project. So, you know, we're looking at the beginning of the next fiscal year for construction, and by the time the funding is available, we did complete the geotechnical on the site. That was part of the requirements for the CEQA. So we're kind of ahead of the game with that project.
So that is it a 2 million gallon?
It's a 1.5.
1.5 million gallon tank going up above the high school there where we have an existing tank. It's additional supply, and we're getting some government funding to help pay for that.
Some money?
Yeah,
It's a good chunk at
a
probably
couple million, I think.
just under, I think it was 1.5, 1.6.
1.6 million.
Yeah.
How much is the project gonna cost?
The estimate on, I think we were at $6 a gallon
Yes.
for storage. No, I think it's less than that.
$2.
Yeah, so it's
$2 and
probably 2 million. 2 million for the project. We do have the site prime for the tanks to supply the additional storage up at that, I think it's 400,000 gallon tank
Yes.
at 6A. So it
And
serves-
that's one of the highest spots in the district. That'll help a lot, so.
Triple
Because
up-
a
triple
lot of the
storage.
cost for this district is pumping water a long ways uphill, so.
Well, how do you intend to get the rest of the money? Was there $500,000?
It's been budgeted. The CIP projects, it's been budgeted for next fiscal year on projects. And it's in our CIP and budget table.
Okay, what does that mean?
Next stop,
It's part,
finance
it's part of our
committee.
budget.
You don't really know. You're just guessing that it's gonna be next year or the year after,
It's been budgeted for next fiscal.
next year.
All right, anything else for current projects?
Nothing else?
Okay, 9 is staff report. Is there anything additional?
We have our manager's report starting on page 5. I don't have anything else to report. Does anyone have any questions?
I did not have any questions. I did see that we had the amount of meters being installed is decreasing each year. I see that. So, did you have any questions or anything? Okay. Item 10, review of action items. The prior meeting, did we have any action items?
We did have two things. The first one was CAL FIRE and what it could be utilized for.
I'll take Cal Fire, take Mohawk Water.
And then the second one was an update regarding the judgment decision on the Oeste and Alto basins,
The judge's decision?
which I believe, George, is that going to be brought back
Is,
later?
are you going to petition the judge about that? Is there any,
The
is there
ship
any
has
process
sailed.
in the water master to petition that?
There isn't. They will report this to the board meeting with Mojave. They're preparing a presentation on the judgment. We thought we were going to get a report at the last water master meeting. There was nothing that was discussed, and they're preparing this for the next board meeting.
So nobody's asking, why are we paying money into water master when they make recommendations that the judge doesn't follow?
Don did have public comment at the water master, and it went nowhere in that direction, but very supportive of the study that was prepared. The judge had additional questions that weren't really quite clear, that's going to be incorporated in the next study, and hopefully we'll gain some traction with that report. We'll hear soon with the presentation to the Mojave Board as well as Water Master, and then at that point, we would bring this to
Maybe
the board.
water master will have a reason why the judge is not listening to them?
After all the paperwork submitted to the judge, it wasn't until then that staff with Mojave came to visit the district and learned a little bit more of how the basin is recharged, and that additional information that was discovered kind of helps build the study for the next go-around. But it was kind of hard to kind of get a feeling of where the judge was kind of going with the decision. I think he's not comfortable until more information is brought to him in the study.
Okay.
And the other action item was CAL FIRE utilization. Can it be utilized by public and private agencies? Public agencies, of course, that is within their privy. Private entities, no.
No. Okay.
So you
It's just for public entities.
can't have them come to your house to do your weeds.
Yeah, it was somebody that owns 50 acres up in the mountain can't use them. Okay. Thank you for that
Yeah, if I can just add, going back to the water master and the judgment, Kathy Hoffman, that represents our division, has pressed the question to the general manager and water master. So as much as what has been done, they hear us loud and clear on the judgment and the results from that. So I think now they're going to be really pressed on making sure that every dot is crossed and I is, whatever that is taken care of before that study is submitted back to the judge next year.
Okay. Question about that. I think it was Schlumberger or somebody, they were doing a study out here, or was that USGS?
That was
And is there any date on that, finalizing that report?
There was a study that was done, and that was at dewatering of the basin that kind of got into the Allied County side. That was done back in 2015. I think they completed in 2017.
It was completed,
Beyond.
but I mean, I remember you bringing back some, I mean, actually, somebody from Mojave came out and showed us some slides and stuff, but there was no official report. They just showed us some color maps of where they think the water is in the horizons and things like
I
that.
think that was the geotechnical data from when they were doing their analyzing for surface water recharge.
Yeah, the clay lands, the layers of.
Oh, that's what that was for? I thought
Yes.
they did a seismic study.
I don't recall the seismic. I do recall the geotechnicals for their surface water recharge.
That was
That's how they got those cross sections. They were seismic sections.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Okay.
But the last time USGS was here was back when they completed that study, and that was at dewatering.
I remember seeing those plates, yeah. Okay. All right. Current meeting, I don't think we have anything.
I have nothing noted.
Okay. Setting agenda, no, item 11, setting agenda for the next meeting, which is September 18th, 2024. Is there any changes to the existing agenda?
No changes.
Okay, so we'll leave the agenda the same. Any final comments or questions about anything? You have a couple questions?
Yeah,
You'd like to?
that affects you guys. The reason no one's here is because you move these things up to 4:30. People are still at work. Okay? They can't come in and give them their input on your surveys and all that and what it's going to cost the public. All your engineering analysis, how much is it going to cost us? You know, every time we turn around, our water bill's going up when they originally took the water bill and took it from bi-monthly to single. Guess what they did? Now we're paying for 1 month what we used to pay for 2. They doubled their profits in one time. Where's the money going? Okay, all these people that should be here can't be here, and it's almost like you guys are sneaking things through the public, Pinion Hills, Oak Hills, so that people can't be here and you can waste their money. You know, I heard things like you guys want to build a swimming pool and stuff like that. I don't need a swimming pool. Half my friends are working paycheck to paycheck. Now, I understand engineering analysis. Okay, I do. All right, I used to run all the engineering type stuff out of Fort Irwin. I got it. Okay, but when are we going to think about the consumer? What input do they have on you spending their money?
Everything is to the public, everything. All these
But it's not,
meetings-
because look at the empty seats, because you moved it up to 4:30 to keep the
This
public
is
out of
not,
here.
this is not a board meeting, this is an engineering meeting.
Mark, even
And
the
it's
board
always-
meetings have
it's-
been moved up. You know it?
Well,
You know it? Hey,
yes,
look,
it was moved to 5 o'clock.
VIP people are getting off work at 4:30 and living down the hill. At the earliest you should have these is like 6 o'clock. at the earliest. But my thing is, there's so many issues that need to be fixed without spending more money. Because every time, we always heard about you guys, we need the money to do this, chromium 6, all that stuff. And every time you turn around, you guys are raising our rates. Every time. And then you come to an engineering meeting and hear about that's not cheap. Engineering's not cheap. Okay? But there's a lot of other things. These guys are living paycheck to paycheck. You got people out here losing their homes because they can't even pay their water bills. And the more you guys do engineering, the more you guys do all this stuff, and I know it's important. A lot of it's important. Okay? But the people that pay for it, right, is your consumers. It's the constituents here in Phelan. Phelan, Piñon Hills, and that are not rich communities. They're not. And everyone in here knows, if you guys live up here, you know your neighbors, some of them are making it, some of them aren't making it. Okay? And I'm here to speak on their behalf. All right? Because I know how much engineering costs. I spent $100 million on engineering at Fort Irwin. Okay? It's expensive. But that's the consumer's money here. And if they can't afford all that to go look out for extra water or extra this, I mean, I'm not sure what our growth is up here, but I see more houses for sale than being built. All right, so what is the status quo good enough? Or do we have to keep expanding for something that isn't? Maybe when Trump gets in, maybe things change. As long as you got that idiot up there, Gavin Newsom, we're going to pay the price. These stupid ass rules are coming up. We're going to pay the price. It's up to you guys to protect us. Mark, you know you should protect us. You've been here a long time.
Yeah.
And it's not about, I talked to Barton, it's not about every time we come in here, we're spending more money, we're spending more money, we're spending more money. Oh, guess what? Your water bill's going up. You know, I'm paying more for water now than when I had 7 horses. I had 7 horses. And I'm paying more for water now than I did back then. And you know what I had to do? I got rid of my horses. Because you guys make it to where you can't even afford to live up here. All I'm saying is be vigilant on the money thing, all right, and what you guys spend, and realize Phelan is not growing like you think it's going to grow. It's not. More people are moving out of Phelan. Trust me, 7 or 8 of my friends either went to Tennessee or Texas or something. You know, I just came back from Texas. $3 for diesel. Up here, $4.59. And we're all paying that, and now we're all paying for our water bill, which has quadrupled over the last couple of years. People can't afford it, man. They can't afford for you to piss their money away on a bunch of stuff. You know, and I try to stay out of here because I get to the point where I have to say something, all right? And if I don't say it, then I feel I'm as guilty as you guys are for doing it. You know, and we need to put the people first. And we need to quit being a vampire and sucking them dry to do engineering stuff and everything, because the people out there is what counts. That's what counts to me. And we got the damn government up here with Gavin Newsom and them bleeding them dry. Right? Crime's at an all-time high. Our police department's, who the hell knows? I mean, I got a sheriff and he told me, hey man, keep a gun in your car. Why? Because it's going to take us 45 minutes to get here. And I just stopped a robbery out there at the Outback Steakhouse where they were mugging a lady, and the sheriff never showed up, and there were guns involved. Okay? The people up here cannot afford the rates that are going up the way they are. And Mark, you're the one guy that can put a lot of stop to this and start being more vigilant with the money, because I know you guys are trying to look ahead for the future. I get it. But at the rate we're going, we're not going to have a future. You know what I mean? I'm asking you guys to think about that, because engineering is important, but at what cost? And I'll be here at the next meeting to raise hell about other stuff. All right?
September 18th.
I'll be here. But
And come to the board meetings, because that's has more influence with board members than anything, is people saying something from the public.
you remember last time I went, you go, hey, your 5 minutes are up, and then everybody start yelling, you can have my 5 minutes, you can have my 5 minutes, and I ended up here 20 minutes. All right?
Yeah. But
I
you know
remember
what?
that, and I'm not
It-
here to put a dagger in
It
your-
really is important, because that affects board members more than anything, is people coming up and questioning stuff.
Well,
Because
you know-
otherwise you can fall into patterns, and it's better to have people, talking to you.
Well, you
So-
know I'll be here, and I
No, we do.
you might want to have the sheriff and them here too. I don't know.
Yeah, but you weren't up at that Sheep Creek meeting back in like 1993 when the rifles came out, were you?
No, but I
When we
probably
ran out of
had
water.
something to do with it. Who knows?
We ran out of water, and boy,
Oh yeah. Oh really?
everybody got mad. Yeah, 1990. I think it was.
I'd be pissed off. I ran out of water. Probably
Ran out of water.
PVC pipe to the aqueduct. But
Yeah.
anyhow, I just came in here to mention that to you because I know you guys are trying to do the right thing, but just bear in mind that people can't afford these rates going up
Yeah.
to do the right thing. You know what I mean? They can't afford it because we're bleeding people dry. And I know too many people are losing their homes and having to move out of the state. When they're paying $2 a gallon for gas, $3 for diesel. Damn, I wanted to move out of the state. The only thing keeping me here is my grandkids. So I hope you guys, I'll be here on the 18th.
Yeah, please.
And we'll bring this stuff up then because I want to talk about my trash also.
Well, that's,
I'm gonna go to the
Board
solid
meetings
waste.
next week.
Well, the reason being is, everybody, we put the fear of God into them if they didn't separate their trash. And I ain't seen a trash truck yet that separated shit. They dump it in one truck and they dump it at the dump. Now, we went out and threatened everybody. We're gonna wring your neck out because freaking idiot Newsom and then pass this shit.
yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, they dump it in the same truck and they drive off, right? And you're like, I want to kill people. I'm seriously, you got people out there, you got old people like my neighbors and them that are handicapped, right? They're out there trucking along with their little trash cans. And then if they don't pick it up on time, which has become a habit too, they don't pick it up on schedule, guess what gets in there? The coyotes, the ravens, or a dust devil happens to go and puts it in your neighbor's yard.
Well,
You know what I mean?
it all blows downhill, remember?
Blows, man. It blows. But
Well, that's the solid waste, and that was another issue that we fought actually for years, and they,
you know what? I get we fought it, but shit, we ain't doing it.
we keep losing. That's.
But you
That's
understand what I'm
the
saying?
engineering committee.
We're
That's
not
the-
doing it.
That's the solid waste committee.
So you sit
So-
here and we get a kill off the public if they don't separate their trash, and then we don't separate the shit. So,
Yeah.
at least lie to us and say you're doing the right thing. Shit. So that's a whole new topic, and I'm glad I wasn't here for that one. I'd have been pissed. Yeah, I bet. So, hey, I'll see you on the 18th.
Appreciate you coming in.
Sorry I
and-
barged in. All
and
you engineering guys, I hate you
We'll be here on the 18th.
most of the time. I know your jobs, man, but hey, thanks a lot. I know you're trying to do good work. All right. So sorry I busted in on you. Gotta go. My bug's out there full of fish.
Appreciate it.
You guys take it easy.
Working hard.
Take care.
All right.
And with that, if there's nothing else, I think we've worked the room a little bit. We'll adjourn for today at 5:25 PM. Thank you.